on. All right, new month already. 国庆节 快乐. Episode number 34 done. Cinnamon buns and macarons. Very good. Feeling better. But more people are leaving. So, what about you, Steve? Why don't you leave? Folks, it is Monday, October 3rd, 2022. I'm Steven Sersky. This here is my daily audio digest where we're going to yik yak about some of the things going on here in Beijing, China, and all the good stuff that happens, and some of the interesting things that happens to us expats. Um, some of the situations I get myself into as well. So this weekend, October 1st, marks the 73rd anniversary of the founding of new or modern China. There wasn't much going on this year, as far as I know, and I guess they did have something. It was very early Saturday morning that they had a little bit of it's because in Tiananmen Square they put a whole bunch of flowers there and everything, and Xi Jinping was there, and he had dedicated or he laid down a bunch of wreaths for the fallen heroes of the country. So there's a few things at Tiananmen Square. So at the southern end of Tiananmen Square is Mao's mausoleum, and then going north from that, like I don't know, 100 meters away, maybe 50 meters away, is this monument to the heroes, and on that there are, what would you call them? They're friezes that are chiseled out of stone that depict certain parts of battle and of heroic valor, I guess you could say, battle scenes that China has taken part of. And then going north from there, there's the big open space between the monument to the heroes and to the Chinese flag that sits at the northern part of Tiananmen Square. And then across the street, the 16-lane highway that runs between them, that's where the Forbidden City begins, and that's the portrait of Mao as well. So there was a wreath-laying ceremony. It wasn't, but they had massive wreaths. They weren't little tiny wreaths. It took place early in the morning. Like by the time I turned on the TV, and I was up decent time on Saturday morning, so it wasn't like I was being lazy on Saturday. But it was basically all repeats by then. And that was at 10 o'clock. I thought they would have it at 10 o'clock, but no, they actually held it. I think at like 8. It might have been 8:30, roughly somewhere in there. There wasn't much booked. This is not one of the big years of it. Last year was the 100th anniversary of the CCP party, so the Chinese Communist Party of China. Anyway, last year was 100 years of the CCP. This year was the 73rd anniversary of the founding of new China, or modern China. No major events. Kind of a chill weekend. Did notice that it was a bit smoggy throughout all last week, and then even until Saturday, and then we finally got some rain on Sunday, and that quelled the smog. I was surprised. Usually, when National Day happens, like the smog disappears about a day before, and then it's clear blue skies in Beijing. But that was not the case this year. So, kind of wonder if maybe there was something else going on. Were they trying to catch up on production and stuff like that? Or were they making a point of some sort? I don't know. I mean, but yeah, it's not usual to have smog on National Day, at least within the last couple of years. Other than that, it was a productive weekend. Several late nights because there more people are leaving, and yeah, it was kind of like, well, like why am I still here? Why am I still sort of sticking around in China? Story hasn't changed very much. I don't really have anywhere else to go. I'm keeping myself busy with all these projects that I got going on. This little daily podcast, this is one of my other publications. I also have a blog at stevensersky.com, and then also I have a big podcast as well, wherein I talk to different foreigners and expats and other creatives, which on Saturday afternoon, I was talking to another expat who is leaving. He is repatriating to the United States to take up law school, of all things. He's making a career change at this point. And so it was before he left, we had a couple bottles of wine, and we just sat down and talked. It was one of these that it was like, you know what, we can just sit down shoot the shit and see what comes of it, sort of thing. It was a bit more of an extended. It took a while to record, but we stopped a couple times in between, and so it wasn't as straightforward as other recordings that I've done. But that'll be up. Oh, hopefully, well, soon, soon. I mean, I had lots of time this week since there's no work, there's nothing else going on, no travel since you can't really get into Beijing because at the same time, right now here in Beijing, there's it's not the two sessions, it's the Party Congress. So the 5 year plan is being formulated. Is it the 5 year plan or is this it's, well, there's Xi Jinping and there's an election. Okay, so there's an election here in China right now. So this is 2022, right? And so they're going to elect the next, how's it going to work? They're electing the top boss for the top jobs for the next 5 years, basically. And that's happening. I'm not sure when it actually begins, but it'll happen sometime soon, given that like they're going to do the National Day celebrations first, and then they will have this meeting at which Xi Jinping is expected to secure a third term, even though the Constitution said it couldn't happen. He changed that a couple of years ago. So that's going to make things a little bit more difficult as well to come and go from Beijing. Like right now, actually, Shunfeng, the delivery system, doesn't deliver to Beijing because they don't. So it was this was affecting some of the things that I was trying to do because of all the things, not just the party congress or whatever, the delivery issue, because I was trying to get some pot pies delivered a couple weeks ago, and they couldn't deliver because they're in Fujian, and they're like, yeah, we can't deliver to Beijing until the end of October. Okay, so just cancel the order. So I did. I mentioned this last week that I'm part of this pastry or this baking group now on WeChat, and I was finally able to place some orders with people that are in Beijing. So this was very good. Well, they made them fresh. Like the cinnamon buns that I ordered on Saturday. He's like, I'll let you know when they're going to be delivered because I mean I'll make them and then I'll ship them out. So okay, so we got 8 of these things shipped. It was like $8 per, I think. Right. So I spent 200 RMB plus 22 kwai delivery fee from like, and it wasn't very far, but I guess since it's a food order, the delivery fee is different, and it's not the same as a YMI order. So YMI has a different kickback system to the delivery personnel, but couriering food is different than couriering dry goods, basically. But they were very good. Oh my goodness, I haven't had a cinnamon bun, like a proper cinnamon bun, in a very long time. So kudos to this guy for making them. He's like, yeah, it's just a hobby that I do. I guess he does it whenever he has time or whenever his orders come out. But highly recommended if you can try some of these baked goods that are going on in the city. Today, I just got so it's Monday already. I got these macarons. I haven't had. I remember trying macaroons in Paris, and I was like, oh my god, new addiction sort of thing. But they're very expensive. That's it. They're tiny and they're expensive, and so it's not something that you would buy very often or even eat very much of. And they're also very rich. They're very high in fat. Well, so same with the cinnamon buns, but they are had them delivered. I guess she made them over the weekend or something and shipped them out today. So it's just nice to be able to not be dependent on the chain stores, Wudome, Paris Baguette, Bien Li Feng, where these places are sort of where you would go get your standard sort of sweets, your pastries and stuff like that, your baked goods and stuff. But it seems that there is sort of a thriving baking scene in Beijing. This is actually kind of new to me. I didn't really appreciate what this was before, but it's there. And I mean, if you want the contact, I'll send the contact along with, to you. Just let me know, drop me a line, and I will send that information to you as well. Overall, feeling better compared to last week. Was able to get a couple workouts in. Today was a bit slower, just given the weekend activities. So what actually happened was that Saturday, episode 34 was recorded, and so he's leaving next week. Then on Sunday, had another little meetup because he's leaving on Wednesday, and I think within the next couple of weeks, there's another two or three other people who are going to be leaving China as well. Like not just they're not just leaving Beijing, they're leaving China as well, and kind of it was almost weird because going out and some of the people there had been there for a while, right? And they've seen different people come and go, and you're seeing some long timers as well leave. But the people who are seeing, 'cause as soon as you start talking about who remember so and so, you remember that person, you remember them and everything who worked for the company, uh, and you got two sets of people there: the long timers and then the long termers that are leaving right now. How I'm looking at myself going, okay, I've been in China roughly since like 2014 or so, and you slowly become one of these long timers by attrition. Basically, it's a withering away of the numbers. They just people leave, they go away, they either change companies, or they change cities, or they change countries, and all of a sudden you're the guy sitting at the table, and you're like, oh, how long? I've been here for 15 years, 20 years, and that puts you back here. Being here for 20 years puts you at the Beijing Olympics 2018 or 2008, basically. 20 years puts you at the turn of the millennium, and just after, before China even went full throttle. We're going to modernize and everything, sort of thing. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to be that way and have that sort of depth of knowledge and experience. Notably the experience, yeah, not so much the knowledge. A lot of the complaints seem to be the same, I guess. But everybody sort of agrees that the country has changed substantially, and especially in the last couple of years. But this also sort of goes down to how COVID has sort of played out here as well. And I'm saying, well, I'm thinking it would be nice to even just go on vacation. We wanted to actually travel this week during National Day break, but it's not possible because not just the health codes, it's it's going to be busy. First of all, there's also chances that you could get locked down or not come back to Beijing because security has tightened around Beijing around the election that's going to happen here. And I'm actually surprised that the foreign media, like the outside media world, isn't covering the Chinese election as much as they cover other situations. Probably a number of reasons for that. I can only imagine why, but that seems to be what the situation as it is. Other than that, yeah, just so you can't travel. It would be nice to get out of the country, even just for a little bit. I see that Japan, I think, has lifted quarantine. Hong Kong has lifted some quarantine measures. I don't think flights leave directly from Beijing. It's you have to transition. You have to transit through Hong Kong still, or Fujian, Xiamen. Yeah, there's no more direct flights from Beijing. I don't think. There might be one or two, but those are very few and far between, and they cost a pretty penny. But most are flying through Hong Kong, which adds another bunch of hours to your trip and a layover and everything. So, but as people are leaving, yeah, would they be leaving if they could go home to visit family? That's a very good question. It's probably one of the big questions that people ask, or I sort of wonder, is that given the chance, if the situation wasn't COVID endemic, would you just go home, spend the 2 weeks, sort of remind yourself why you're living overseas instead of making that entire life change of going back to your home country? Because it is a big. I mean, you're moving stuff, you're shifting stuff. I mean, you're saying goodbye to an apartment that you've been part of, that you've lived in for so long. You're getting used to a new place and stuff like that. I guess a lot of people are moving in with their parents, of all things. How sweet. Grown people, living overseas for X number of years as an expat and then returning home and saying, Mom, can I live with you? Uh, this does bring up a good point of what is happening overseas, and that I was sort of thinking, like, if I were to leave China, like who would I go live with, or what would I be able to live on my own outside of the country? Because here with the constant work, and as much as it sort of trickles away at times, it's still there. Apparently inflation is pretty bad. I mean, not just for oil and like gas and transportation costs, but in terms of cost of living have gone up. I mean, I posted on Facebook saying that, asking if $8 per what was it? Because there's 200 RMB for eight cinnamon buns. So that's what, 25 kwai a piece, $5 a piece, $5 a piece. I'm going, is that a lot? And people are like, yeah, it's kind of expensive. I'm like, yeah, but that's Beijing prices. I mean, 25 kwai for a cinnamon bun, or 25 kwai for a muffin at Starbucks or something like that. It seems horribly expensive, but Beijing, just those are your prices for the big city, I guess. And it doesn't even matter if it's Chinese version or not. I mean, maybe the Chinese version might be 18 kwai or something, but it's still going to be decently. It's going to cost you money, and more money than you want to spend probably. But overseas, back in the home, like Canada, Scotland, Britain, Europe, mainland Europe, have prices gone up? I don't know. I know Canada, people are saying that things in general have gone up. The cost of food has gone up quite a bit, and that whereas your bill was sort of, actually, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know the exact numbers, to tell you the truth. But the prices here in China, they haven't gone up too much. Starbucks is a little bit more expensive, but I make coffee at home now, and since I don't go out to, like, I used to go to these different pubs and stuff like that, but not so much anymore. I know that when a new place opens, the prices are higher, but I don't see the prices increasing in the places that I've gone to quite often. Like, so the places that I would frequent, their prices haven't gone up at all. If it's a new place, all of a sudden you look and go, these prices are higher than other places that I've gone to. So it's almost like when people open up a restaurant, it's kind of like that chance to sort of take to increase the prices a little bit, increase my costs rather than their costs. Good question. What are you guys seeing about inflation? Are you hearing a lot of it from people back home? Do you want to get out of China? Do you want to keep on going? I was actually thinking, do I even want to go back to backpacking? Do I ever want to? Because I haven't been to South America, but I've heard it doesn't seem like it's safe to go to South America, to tell you the truth. I'd love to go to parts of Africa as well. Actually, a lot of Africa, to tell you the truth. It'd be awesome to go there, and all over sort of thing. But one thing I am happy that I did a couple years ago was take the train from Beijing to Moscow. Now, sadly, that was also the trip that my father passed away in a couple of years, and so I wasn't able to complete the trip. But I had to go back to Canada at that time. But given the circumstances with Russia and Ukraine right now, I don't see that trip being possible again for another little while, which eliminates one part of the world that I can go to, sort of thing. And even going farther out west to China, not just within the country, but outside, like all the stands, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, all those places. It's almost tough to go there because there's so much the discontent. You don't hear it, but there seems to be some sort of discontent in that area where if you're traveling as a foreigner, you're just you can be targeted a little bit easier, sort of thing. All of which is sort of leading me to say, like, why don't I leave? It's like, well, things are pretty good here. It's comfortable, safe. I mean, you don't feel like you're being targeted too much by any more than usual, sort of thing. But in terms of travel, I mean, maybe living in China has sort of made me soft a little bit to what's out there, and I haven't been backpacking in quite a while. It would be nice, but doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. At least not just yet. All right, folks, I'm going to leave it there. So this is the what is it? Wow, Monday already, beginning of the October. Okay. Well, I've yet to update the website as well. Show notes, tracks, and vids up on my website, stevensersky.com. You can find all the archives for this wonderful daily audio digest that has been going on for just over a year. And yes, I was thinking, if it is Golden Week, should I take the week off? Good question. And could I, like other publishers, should I schedule vacation times as well for away from work and sort of take some time out, take off Golden Week, take off Christmas, take off Spring Festival? I'll think about that. All right. What do you guys do? Do you guys not do any work when you're on break? All right. Folks, have a good one. Again, show notes, tracks, and vids up on my website, stevensersky.com. We will talk again. Have a good one. Bye-bye.